about to begin a playthrough of A Sky Full of Stars. I hope you like it. Yes, indeed. I have returned from www.timcurrystudios.com to continue on Hikary's path here. I recall that there was still much to go. I'm wondering if this might be the first video that I have to... This might be the first path I have to split into 5 videos, but we'll see. Anyways, at the end of our last video, Hikari and Akita were dating, but Saya was still not talking to Hikari or to Akita as kind of a response. They had also had some really big problems with their project to light up the night, and they look to have maybe come around to have found an answer to their problems, to take it from being just a local event and making it a national one. We're gonna jump into that video here where Akita's kind of brought up the idea, and now they're gonna run with it. So let's see where it goes from here. As Karuna said, you want to make it nationwide? Up until now, we have been promising Project Starlight for Hoshinonaka. Hoshinonaka is already a big area. That's why we received the Six Stars Club in the first place. Revived the Six Stars Club in the first place. We wanted to grow people's interest in astronomy. But that was just a preconceived notion. In the end, we have only been limited to this area by our imagination. The goal of Project Starlight is to bring back the bright night. If so, it would make sense not to limit the scale.
ですが、我々の人手ではとても手が回りません。星の中市だけでも苦労しているのに。
That's why we recruit schools from all over the country. We already have Kaifu Academy and Orihimi's College Club wanting to help.
今からで間に合うかな。
ネットの情報拡散速度は光の速さ。うまく煽ることができたら、あるいは。
でも絶賛炎上中だよ。
Corona said in a cruel, careless manner. The unwanted memory brought everyone down. Sure, it's not a desirable situation, but it's not all bad news. No matter if it's good or bad, because of this ruckus, a great many people know about the club now. The pure extraordinary number of people visiting our site is proof of that.
はい、今日の分はまだ見ていませんが。
The sudden boost in hits would probably make Hanukkah turn pale. If we can change his negative view into a positive one...
そんな魔法みたいなことできるの？アキに。
I'm still thinking about it. Everyone drooped their shoulders. As Corona said, it would take a miracle to make that happen.
それにしても、京風天文部の方はどうして我々のサイトを見てくださっていたんでしょうね。
それはやっぱり騒ぎになってるからじゃないですか。
それでこんな風に味方してくれるかな。
They'd be jumping into the frying pan with us. Kawanakajima yelled as he found something in the email from Kaifu Academy. What's wrong?
百瀬花江ってもしかして桃香さんじゃないですか？
Hane. Oh! Without thinking, our voices grew louder.
誰？
Do you remember the person that kept giving us advice when we built Pleiades 1?
アドバイス。ああ！
When we had posted the journal on constructing our Dobsonian telescope on the site, somebody had posted some advice in the comment section. And the name of that person had been...
桃香さんです。
Monica told us that she checked the blog's entries. Kaisuke had taken command of the construction of the Dobsonian telescope, and I remember him being really grateful for the advice.
じゃあ、あの頃からずっと私たちの活動を見てくれてたってこと？
I'm not entirely certain if it was the entire time, but it certainly seems like it was them. It wasn't only that the names were the same, but Kaifu was also known to have made several highly accurate homemade telescopes. If that was the case, we would be able to ask them for practical advice too.
ねえ、このサイトにあった動画って何？ うちのサイト動画なんてあったっけ？
Everybody tilted their heads at the same time. And now that I think about it, we didn't put anything there on the Six Stars Club site. Monica opened the site. When she did, there was a video playing on the top page.
いつの間にこんなものが。
いつもブログの方しか見てなかったから気づかなかったっす。
Monica pressed the play button. A starry sky was shown on the monitor. Then a voice played while showing the background of countless flickering stars.
仲のいい友達と3人でこの場所で毎晩のように星を数えていました。あの頃の夜空は今よりずっと明るかった。え？
Hikari cried out.
この声、ピカリンだ。
We kept watching in surprise. Then, an illustration of a girl with twin tails showed up on the screen. With the tragic music box melody playing in the background, the girl continued to talk.
けれど、私が夜空を見上げるのを忘れているうちに、いくつもの星が姿を消していました。地上に明かりが一つ灯ると、夜空の星が一つ消えてしまうのです。注意深く観察していないと、なくなっていることにも気がつかないような小さな光たち。でももし月が隠れるように地上の明かりが消えることがあれば、あの星たちは帰ってきます。今見上げているこの夜空に。そしてそんな夜がもしも実現すれば、小さな流れ星もきっと見つけることができるでしょう。見てみたいと思いませんか？大流星群の降る夜、無数の小さな光たちに彩られた星空を、あの頃のような明るい夜を。何これ？なんか超自分に酔ってるみたいで、むちゃくちゃ恥ずかしいんですけど。
Hikari grabbed her head and screamed. Actually, I thought it was a good speech. It was pretty romantic video and even a little poetic.
誰よ、こんな動画作ってアップしたの？
We all looked at each other and shook our heads. The audio recording, that was definitely Hikari at the last stargazing event. I wonder who recorded it.
あの時はノリノリだったから言えたけど、冷静になって聞くと死にたくなるよ。
Hikari looked like she might cry any second. I just patted her head, trying to comfort her while looking around at everyone.
僕じゃないよ。うちの部の人間でもないと思う。
Toyota and the Nishai High Club seemed like the best candidates. They're good with electronics, but I doubt they would do it.
うちも違うと思うっす。
私も録音しているなんて知りませんでした。
Then who did it?
コロナ、どこ行こうとしてんの？何が？コロナはいつだって元気はつらつだよ。そんなこと聞いてないわよ。まさかこれあんたがやったの？違う、コロナやってない。コロナこんなの作れないもん。だよね。
And then suddenly Hinami started to laugh devilishly. Do you know about this, Hinami? She looked like she wanted someone to ask her, so I did, and then she grew closer to us.
私は犯人を知っています。誰なの？それはひなみ。ズバリアルビレオのプリンセス天の川先輩です。
Ta-da!
さや？なんで？さやさんは感動会の日は欠席でしたよ。
Everyone thought it was impossible, but Hinami's confidence didn't waver.
天空の賢者ケイロンにかけて天の川先輩こそがこの動画のウプ主です。ねえ、コロナ。
Corona recoiled from everyone's stares.
コロナが録音したの、ピカリンの声。
As she said as she brought out her phone.
だってすごくいいこと言ってたから。それなのにあの人、天の川先輩いなくて、なんか腹立ったな。絶対聞かせてやろうと思って録音したの。
And did you give Saya the recording? Corona meekly nodded.
天の川先輩のうちに一緒に渡しに行った。メールアドレスとか連絡先知らなかったから家行くしかなかったんだもん。でもそれだけだよ。コロナ録音したデータ渡してすぐ帰ったもん。うん、帰った。この動画に使われているイラストは聖戦女子天文部の方が描かれている絵ですね。
It had the same art style as the other images on the site that they had drawn. So then, Saya made the video and uploaded it to the site?
多分そうだと思う。さや、どうしてた？どうって？元気そうだった？わかんない。あの人いつも何考えてるのかわかんない顔してるし。でもピカリンとアキ兄のこと聞かれたよ。イチャイチャしてるって教えてやったらなんかほっとしてたみたいだった。ねえひなみ。相変わらず見目麗しかった。そう。ありがとね、コロナ。別にあの人のためとかじゃないからね。ただピカリンとあの人が喧嘩したままなの変だし、なんか不自然で嫌なだけだもん。あんたって子は。
Hikari had a mix of sadness and happiness in her look as she hugged Corona.
ピカリンすっごいふかふか。
Corona blushed red as she was surprised by how soft Hikari was. While that was going on, Hanukkah had pulled up the Six Stars Club Access report. Normally we had something like 50 hits per day, but in the last 2 days we had nearly 1,000.
アクセス数だけ見てると夢みたいな数ですね。
ですね。
And everyone was dejected again.
待って。
Hikari looked serious as she thought.
どうしたのピカリン。
Hikari was deep in thought with her hand on her chin as she was mumbling something under her breath.
アクセス数、注目、
Hikari's stare stopped on the monitor.
すっごい明暗、思いついちゃったかも。なかなかいいね、麻婆豚まん。
Hikari voiced her opinion of the new product as she was absorbed in a video on her phone. You've been going home pretty late recently. Isn't your family worried about you?
ちょっとしてるみたい。お姉ちゃんみたいになるんじゃないかって。
Hikari's sister was a university student and sometimes went out for days at a time.
お姉ちゃんはあれでしっかり者だからいいけど、私はおっちょこちょいだってバレてるからね。
Then shouldn't you go home already? I said taking a cup of water over to her.
もつら星の会が忙しくて、あんまりアキトと二人きりになれないんだもん。
She gave a small pout, then came close to me and squeezed my hand. It was just the reaction I was expecting, and I squeezed her hand back. Things are going to get even busier tomorrow.
やることが山積みだわ。
Is this really okay?
何が？
Your great idea, I mean.
ナイスアイデアだと思わない？っていうか、これしかないっしょ。
Well, yeah. After seeing the video at the meeting, Hikari had explained her great idea to us all. Everyone's reaction had been pretty positive. For the most part.
それに、面白そうじゃん。
She smiled as she said that. If she's okay with it, then whatever. Then everyone had split up into groups according to Hikari's great idea and started working on ways to get the project national. There was not much time left, but as Toyota said, if we could get the internet to work for us, then we might make it in time.
やるぞ
The train's almost here. I'd been walking Hickory home almost every day, so I'd memorized the train's time schedule.
もうちょっと
The next one is 45 minutes after that. Come on now. I pulled her by the hand.
やだ
You really are being childish. I made her stand up and she complained as she put her bag on her shoulder.
アキト冷たい私と一緒にいたくないんだいいもん家で寂しく一人でいろいろ準備するもんやだ怒った
I hugged Hickory. Maybe with a little force.
もう苦しい
Baka, I don't want to be separated from you for even a second. I forced out the feelings that I always wanted to hide and kissed Hickory on the cheek. As I let go, Hickory's face was beet red and her eyes were teary.
今の超キュンとしたアキト私も1ナノ秒だって離れてたくないよ
She emphasized this with clenched fists. Well then, get going. The train will be here soon.
わかったじゃあねアキト愛してるよ
She waved her hand as she left the store like she could barely stand it anymore. Hickory ran to the train station as Kotaru watched. Gee, she's one cute girlfriend. Feeling pretty embarrassed, I muttered to myself. Now I would go to work, but it was kind of lonely. I cleaned up the garbage on the counter, wiped it down, and sat down in the warm seat that Hickory had been sitting in. Feeling lonely already, I picked up my phone to message her. But there was an unread message on the screen. It's from Saya. It had come out of nowhere. I hurriedly opened it.
ごめんねずっと連絡しなくてみんなが大変な時なのにムービーをアップしたの私だよもっとたくさんの人に光の声届けたくて
So it was Saya. The video had looked reasonably simple to make, and anyone who knew the basics could probably make it with free software. But more importantly, now that Saya had messaged me, it was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Thanks to you, Saya, more people have been able to hear Hickory's words. How have you been lately? Hickory's worried about you. I held onto my phone as I wrote the replies. It took a while for her to read the messages. She replied.
怒ってるんじゃないの二人と会わないようにしてるのはもっと別な理由光はずっとあっくんのことが好きだったんだよでもその気持ちを私が封じ込めちゃってた私があの時あんなことしたから二人の邪魔したくないのだから会わないようにしてたの
So that's why. She was probably talking about the kiss. That probably was why Hickory had stubbornly turned me down when I had first asked her out. It would be kind of cruel to say that I'd like things to go back to the way they were with the three of us. I was the one who decided to go out with Hickory. No. I want the three of us to look at the stars again, just like we used to. It's okay to believe that day will come, right? She read the message, but didn't reply. I started to get worried as my grip tightened on my phone and beeped with a new message.
来るといいねそんな日が
Saya. A customer came in, so I went back to the register. Welcome! In the same place, may the three of us see the meteor shower again. I'm sure that Saya has forgotten that promise by now. It was the next day. After school, Hickory and I went to Harbor Town. There are a lot of people here for a weekday. Compared to the day we had come for a date, there were fewer people around. Just some others dressed in uniform like us. Hickory grabbed my hand. We didn't come here on a date, you know.
分かってるわよ。
She'd been moody the entire time. I guess she was just nervous. She was holding my hand in hers on one side, and with the other she seemed to be nervously fiddling with something in her pocket. As we wandered down the road, I tried to think of a way to help Hikari relax. I was certain that if I told her about Saya's message yesterday, that she would cheer up. So, Saya messaged me.
さや
Hikari was giving me an evil stare. And this was bad, I wasn't sure what to say. Yeah, Saya, well,
私も来たよ。さやからメッセージ。
really? Apparently Saya had messaged Hikari after me. It looked like I was off the hook, but why was she so upset after just hearing Saya's name? So, what did she say? Hikari didn't say a word, but showed me the message.
バカ。
Huh? What's this?
知らないわよ。久しぶりにメッセージ来たと思ったらこれだったんだもん。いきなり何？別に言いたかっただけ。バカって。バカって言う方がバカよ。子供みたい。
What on earth was going on?
なんなのあの子。喧嘩売ってるよねこれ。
Well, looks like it.
で、そっちはなんて言われたの？
Pretty much the same. Hikari snorted disdainfully as I lied to her. Saya. I thought about showing Hikari my messages from her. Saya probably badmouthed Hikari to preempt them from making up again. At this point, I doubted that Hikari would think Saya was being honest if I showed her the message from yesterday. She really does understand you.
何それ？どういう意味？
I mean that even if you fight, you're still good friends.
はい？やめてよ。仲良くなんてないもん。あんなやつもう絶好よ。
Hikari kept holding my hand as she fumed. And she put her other hand back in her pocket. I had absolutely no idea what she had in that pocket. Maybe that's it. She was probably holding my hand to hide her insecurity. We continued to head toward the planetarium, where we would meet Mr. Morita to tell him our answer.
今夜、もし夜空を見上げることがあれば、今見ているこの星空を重ねてみてください。
The dome lit up as the show ended. It was a soft, easy light, but it was still bright to our eyes that had adjusted to the darkness. The staff stood up and led the customers out of the dome. We just waited in our seats.
こんにちは。
Hello, Mr. Morita.
こんにちは。
We hurriedly stood up as the gentleman dressed in a suit came to greet us.
わざわざ来ていただいて申し訳ないです。
No, thank you for the other day.
今日はお忙しい中お時間をいただきましてありがとうございます。
Hikari looked nervous as she faced Mr. Morita and bowed to him. Mr. Morita looked at us and started to talk.
事務所でお話しようと思っていましたが、せっかくなのでここで話しましょう。
Mr. Morita sat down in the seat beside us. We also sat down. Now, there was a bit of time until the next showing in the planetarium.
それで、どのようなご用件でしょう。
はい。先日言われたプロジェクトスターライトの件です。あれからみんなで話し合い、どうすべきか考えました。
結論は出ましたか。
はい。
Refusing to give in to the pressure, Hikari nodded with determination.
私たち計画を続けようと思います。もちろん解散もしません。
つまり私の言ったことは無視すると。
いいえ、違います。
Please take a look at this. I handed the prepared documents to Mr. Morita. We had completely reworked our plans for the project. You could almost think of it as Project Starlight 2.0.
森田さんに納得していただけるよう、それに何より一般の人たちに共感してもらえるよう、計画を一から考え直しました。
Mr. Morita looked at the documents in poor illumination. As he kept on reading, he began to look even more critical.
驚きました。まさかやめろといった活動を全国規模に拡大してしまうなんて。
Hikari lost her nerve as Mr. Morito's brow furrowed. It should all be possible with this plan now. Part 1 of the national campaign was to cooperate with other astronomy clubs in the other prefectures and expand Project Starlight nationally. Because of our efforts so far, for better or worse, a lot of people knew about the project. We would continue to spread the word as much as possible. With the help of respectable and trustworthy schools like Kaifuku Academy helping us, it would be possible to change our public image. The effects were already apparent. There had been other schools that had close affiliation with Kaifu that wanted to join us. Part 2 of the national campaign was to do with street lighting.
傘ですか。
はい。ハロウィンの時、いつもの街路灯にかぼちゃの提灯や飾りがついてたのを思い出したんです。この方法なら防犯上の問題はないですよね。
We would put covers on all the lights and do everything we could to aim the lights away from the sky. We would only cover a portion of them, so it wouldn't be like we were turning out all the lights off. So there might not be such a big effect. But if we did this, we would be able to get the shopping centers to cooperate with us. And just like before, we would aim to have as many signs and house lights turned off as possible. Part 3 of the national campaign was timing.
プロジェクトスターライトの発動時間を12月14日の夜10時から10時半の30分に限定します。
And this way we won't need people to turn off their lights for the entire night. If people can match up their timing, we can maximize the desired effect. Even if people were to turn off their lights, it would be near impossible to turn them off for the entire night. If we didn't have the time set to turn off the lights, then even if we had a lot of people helping us, it wouldn't have been that big of an effect. However, if we limited the time to just 30 minutes, then we could get everyone to focus on a specific time, making it possible. Besides, most stores would be closed, and then they said they'd need to turn off their Christmas decorations.
なるほど。
While Mr. Morita was listening to us talk, the wrinkles on his head disappeared. But he wasn't smiling. Mr. Morita was looking straight at Hikari. It was probably how he looked when staring at the stars.
これで本当に星は見えるようになるんでしょうか。
わかりません。
わからない。
でも意味はあります。人々の目を夜空へ向けてもらうために、人知れず星が隠されていっていることを知ってもらうために、そして星空の美しさを知ってもらうために、そのためには街の明かりを消すことよりも先に夜空を見上げてもらわないといけません。
このキャンペーンをきっかけに夜空を見上げてもらおうと。
はい。
It was the perfect time for the campaign, with people already interested in the upcoming meteor shower. Mr. Morita nodded several times like he was lost in thought. Then he murmured something quietly to himself.
やはり君たちだ。かつてこの辺りは星が降るように見える土地と言われ、多くの天文ファンに愛されていました。
Morita looked up at the ceiling of the dome and started talking.
しかし、開発が進み、夜空が暗くなるに従い、彼らは徐々に離れていった。私も見放したうちの一人です。
森田さんが？
Mr. Morita nodded. He was looking up as if he were looking right into space, but there was nothing above us as the surface of the dome. A light gradient between the light and shadows was all that could be seen on the curved surface.
ですが、やっぱり諦めきれなかった。かつて自分が驚き、感動し、愛した星空を、あの頃のような星空を取り戻そうと試みているのは、あなたたちだけではありません。
はい。Mr. Morita was also such a person. It wasn't a coincidence that he had built the planetarium, and anyone could tell Mr. Morita's passion for the stars when they watched the shows.
簡単な道のりではなかったし、今もその途中です。諦めかけたことも何度もありましたよ。世の中には面白い遊びが溢れ返っていて、 新たに天文の道を志そうとする人は少ない。ですが、そんな私を励ましてくれた子供たちがいました。
Mr. Morita let out a gentle smile show. Children came to the planetarium a lot, but Mr. Morita seemed to be talking about a time long before the planetarium was built. Mr. Morita was still smiling as he looked over at us. I don't know why, but it was kind of embarrassing.
天の川さやさんは今日はご一緒じゃないのですか？
Saya? No, not today. Why did he bring up Saya?
むつら星の会には参加なさっていると聞きましたが。
Mr. Morita kind of sounded disappointed as he picked up the manila envelope from his lap.
官房会の夜、空見くんの名前を伺ったとき、どこかで聞き覚えのある名だと思っていました。先日、ほうき星ひかりさんの名前を聞いて、やっと思い出しましたよ。
As he said this, he opened the envelope. At first glance, it was just a stack of copied papers. But what was strange was that they were marks that looked like they had been taped together. I immediately realized that the papers had been taped up before they had been copied. This is...
私たちの惑星観測ノート。
But why do you have this, Mr. Morita? I didn't understand. Hikari and I were both surprised at this unexpected turn of events.
今から5年ほど前です。私は市の子ども自由研究コンクールの審査員を頼まれましてね。その時拝見しました。このノートを。
自由研究コンクール。
Why do you still have it though? And what's with the tape?
さやがね、持ってきたんだよ。泣きながら。どうしたの？天の川さん。先生。何？このノート。こんなに破れてしまって。
The journal that Hikari and I had torn apart wasn't supposed to have been turned in. It wasn't even complete for one thing. But Saya had taped it up and had given it to the teacher in tears. Miss Maharu must have taken our journal and submitted it into the city competition. And you were the judge? Mr. Morita nodded and looked at the copies fondly.
よく書けていました。いや、子供がこれだけのことをやってのけるなんて本当にすごいことですよ。
っていうか、市のコンクールまで行ってたんだ。
Well, it was torn apart and we didn't even get any participation awards either. We should have gotten some kind of prize for making it so far.
完成していませんでしたからね、この自由研究は。
It had all of our observation data, but there were some parts missing or incomplete. And besides, data didn't make it a report. Not to mention it was ripped and taped together.
迷いました。賞を与えるべきかどうか。学校に問い合わせたところ、担任だった早乙女さんが独断で送ってきたという。努力を認めてあげてほしかったんでしょう。自分が受け持った生徒たちも。
先生。
残念ながらいくつかの理由でコンクールの基準は満たしておらず、賞を与えることができませんでした。ですが私は嬉しかった。この土地に新しい天文の息吹が芽生えつつあることを強く感じられて、嬉しくて勇気づけられました。
He looked at the copies of our childhood journals with affectionate eyes. It was a very strange feeling.
返却する前にこっそりコピーを取らせていただきました。申し訳ございません。
No, that's okay. I didn't mind at all. Actually, I was strangely proud that he had treasured them all this time.
実によく観察していますね。明けの明星を観測するために早起きした日の雑感や、 ガリレオ衛星の相互色の観測結果も素晴らしいですが、
Mr. Morita was flipping through the pages.
ここです。
Both Hikari and I leaned in to take a look. It was a page where we wrote about Pluto. We didn't have much to go on, just knowledge that we got from books. We had written how sad we felt for the planet.
冥王星への思いやりが素晴らしい。そうなんです。冥王星は準惑星に降格されたという人もいますが、決してそうじゃない。
Mr. Morita suddenly started to get heated up talking about Pluto. From the discovery of Pluto to the history of it being recategorized, and even the grand achievement of sending an unmanned probe to Pluto, Mr. Morita recounted all of the details from our journal. Listening to him, I was reminded of Miss Miharu's criticism of the man. So this is an astronomy nerd. As the convention deviated, I almost forgot why we had come. Conversation.
館長、もうそろそろ次の上映が始まりますので。
ああ、もうそんな時間ですか。申し訳ない。
Mr. Morita hurriedly stood up from his seat after the employee talked to him. We followed suit.
すまない。話の途中だったね。じゃあ続きは事務所で。
Mr. Morita, thinking that we still wanted to learn about Pluto, took us to the planetarium's office.
すまなかったね。引き止めてしまって。日が暮れるのがずいぶん早くなった。
Mr. Morita said, noticing how dark it had gotten.
そうですね。
We had listened to Mr. Morita talk for a whole 2 hours after that. Partway, one of the ladies in the office had brought us some juice with a smile full of sympathy. Thank you for today.
とっても楽しかったです。
いいえ、こちらこそ。楽しいひとときでした。
Mr. Morita said that with a slight smile on his face. About Project Starlight.
ああ、そうでした。
Mr. Morita turned back into an adult.
もうやめろとは言いません。しかし、協力もできない。今のままではね。
今のままでは？
実を言うとね、私もあなた方と似たようなことを考えていました。大流星群の降る夜、ここのイルミネーションを全部消せないかとね。一度掛け合ってみましたが、ダメでした。
I see. I guess it would be hard for Harbortown to agree with that.
ですが、もしあなたたちのキャンペーンが全国の若者に広まれば、運営側も考えを変えるかもしれません。ハーバータウンは若者のトレンドに敏感ですから。その時は大手を振って我々も協力できるでしょう。
本当ですか？
ええ。
Mr. Morita nodded.
やったよ、秋田！協力してくれるって！
Yeah, only if the campaign goes well. Mr. Morita watched us as we hugged each other in joy as if everything was going smoothly. Then he said something to us.
若さゆえの勇み足が何かを変える時もある。年を取ると臆病になっていけないな。空見くん、ほうき星さん。
We quickly stood straight after our small celebration. Mr. Morita put his hand on our shoulders and looked us in the eye.
今度こそ最後までやり遂げてください。
Hikari and I just looked at each other without saying a word. Then we replied without hesitation. Hi! Hi! Year 20XX. Humanity was on the verge of destruction. An asteroid was on a collision course with the Earth. The world came together and formed a crisis team around NASA, but no solution was found. All we could do was wait for the end to come. Then there she was. A girl in a school uniform came into the frame, barely making a sound as she ran. Traveling gallantly through space to save us. Look out! Here comes Comic Girl! Go, Comic Girl, go! You are our hero! Comic Girl spectacularly caught the asteroid traveling a blistering 18 kilometers per second. She then carried it to another part of the universe, and thus humanity was saved. Thank you, Comic Girl! It was recess. Hinami came all the way to the second grade classroom, huffing in triumph as she showed me the video on her phone. It seemed to be getting a lot of views. This was the latest video of Comic Girl that was uploaded to the web. And it looked like it wasn't going to be the last.
コメットガールは空の平和を守りたい。12月14日、大流星群の降る夜にプロジェクトスターライトを発動します。明るい夜のために。
Check the site for more details.
コメットガール先輩、かっこいい。
The comments were coming in too. Someone's cosplaying Comic Girl. Wait, isn't that the real person? What's Project Starlight? There were comments like that all over the website. People were interested to see if it was the real Comic Girl. Of course, she was the real person. We were the ones who made the video. We had released the video the night before on a video sharing site, and the response had been good. Looks like it. Project Starlight's official commercial was blowing up on various social media networks. Because of its sudden popularity, different astronomy clubs from all over Japan wanted to join our cause. There was a link at the end of the video sending people directly to a site specifically set up for Project Starlight, and the hits were skyrocketing. Hikari's great idea was a big success. Yes, this was Hikari's idea.
すっごい明暗、思いついちゃったかも。
A great idea? Hikari just smiled devilishly. When Hikari looked like that, there was a good chance she was going to say something ridiculous, so I prepared for the worst.
コメットガールを利用しよう。コメットガールを利用する？
Hikari nodded.
前々から気に食わなかったのよね。あれの正体私なのに、本人そっちのけでみんなで盛り上がっちゃってさ。おまけにすっごい人気じゃん。動画再生数が軽く20万超えてたり。これを利用しない手はないっしょ。
Sure enough, everyone was flabbergasted with her ridiculous idea.
どうやって利用するんですか？
簡単だよ。作るの、私たちも。コメットガール動画をですか？もちろん。ただ同じように作るだけじゃつまらないわ。他の人たちには真似できないことをしないと。何せこっちには本人がいるんだから。見てなさいよ。散々人をおもちゃにしてたけど、逆に利用してやるんだから。
And that is how we decided to make a video. But to be honest, it was a really good idea. The story had been spreading rapidly, and when it hit social media, it just exploded. We were writing the popularity of other people's work, but we had the original Comic Girl, so they really couldn't complain. There were people on the internet that were really into this kind of stuff. There were fans who liked the original Comic Girl, a hero who saved kittens, so they would really enjoy this. The other day, we had posted an apology on the site, and the majority of the negative feedback with Project Starlight was already fading. The video was also well made. Hinami was full of pride. Hinami's friend was the one who made the video. Nishai Hai had a single-lens reflex camera that could make videos, so we gave them the script and had them do a rush drop. We had Hikari run a similar way to the original, but we were able to take some high-quality shots with the camera. We waited until the wind was just right to capture her trademark tintails trailing behind her. This joke of a video really helped us out of our dilemma and actually became our beacon of hope. However, just uploading the videos was not our goal. We had an ever-increasing amount of schools wishing to participate. We had to jump into action. And it wasn't just astronomy clubs. There were a lot of astronomy fans and even some people who didn't know about astronomy who all wanted to help. We had posted a welcome banner on our site and were aggressively promoting it on social media to help widen the scale of the project. For most people, we just wanted to make it as easy as possible to participate. For most people, we only wanted 3 things. 1, turn off their lights for 30 minutes on December 14th, 10 o'clock. 2, go outside and look at the sky during that time. 3, and tell as many people as possible. We also started promoting tips on how to watch a meteor shower in addition to those 3 stages. There was a lot of laundry. There was also a laundry list of things to do that outside of the internet. Like putting the covers on the street lamps. We split up and worked around the receptive schools and negotiated with the shopping centers, making the covers and helping to put them up. Then we had to ask the owners of the gorgeous Christmas lights to turn them off during the allotted time frame.
こっちの地元の商店街街路灯の傘設置終わったっす。
うちもやってるけど終わりそうにない助っ人求む。
おいよ、今からそっち行くぜ。
The
サイ
traffic
ト
on
のアクセス数がすごいことになってきてます。ちょっと怖いです。SNS の方もフォロワーめっちゃ増えてるの。ネットガール効果で RD も伸びまくってる。そうだろうそうだろう。こっちも誰か助っ人来て。一人じゃ無理。
I should be able to post the pointers for the meteor shower article tonight. Hikari, I'm on the way. Once we had started, we just had to keep pushing forward. Ever since we went national, we were so busy that we didn't even have time to think.
こっちビラ配り終わったぞ。
Thanks, Take.
ありがとうございます。ピコリ。
Takeichi had brought the first-year basketball members with him. And they had come to help hand out flyers during our lunch break.
結構反応良かったぞ。みんなコメットガール宇宙編見てんだな。
Well, that's good. Enemy was still taking pride in it. After we had started the national campaign, we had been trying extra hard to hand out flyers to the school again. We had also been encouraging the newly participating schools to do the same. It was pretty amazing. We had done all this without a common place for everyone to meet. I guess it just goes to show the power of the internet. Just as Takeichi said, we were getting a bandwagon effect thanks to the Comic Girl video. Our goal was to first get the project known by the students, and that would spread to their families. Of course, it was probably not going to be as easy as that in reality. Well, thanks for helping us even though you're busy with basketball. Takeichi was a pretty ordinary guy, but he was popular in the basketball club. He was able to recruit his club into helping us.
わかってるなお前ら。当日もちゃんと部屋の電気消せよ。俺とナルエちゃんがロマンチックな夜を過ごせるようにな。
It looked like Takeichi was planning a date with Naru during the meteor shower. When he explained his reason for aiding Project Starlight, several first years without girlfriends complained.
お前らも試合で活躍したら彼女の一人や二人すぐできっから。ところでよ、アキト。
What?
光がテレビに出るのって今日だっけ？
Yeah, that's right.
一生笑い物にしてやるために録画しとくか。
Please do just that. It was the truth. It was unbelievable that Hikari was going to be on TV. She would be the spokesperson for the Six Stars Club.
緊張する。心臓が口から飛び出しそうだよ。
Are you okay? You're pale. I rubbed her back for her.
全国に流れるんだよね。
Don't worry about it. The Comic Girl video has been viewed all over the world.
でもテレビだよ、テレビ。
They were bringing in more and more recording equipment into the Maiku Academy astronomy room. It was a madhouse as the TV staff were coming and going in a rush. The Six Stars Club members were hopelessly watching. we were going to be on live news tonight. And there was a small segment where they would introduce high school girls working hard in their clubs, and this time they were presenting the Six Stars Club. We had been chosen because of our internet sensation, Project Starlight. The news segment was going to be part of the coverage of the Geminids that the TV station would be showed before the meteor shower. So Hikari wasn't the only person who was nervous. Everyone in the Six Stars Club, other than the Sison girls, would be shown on TV. Everybody was looking pretty pale at the idea. Even Hanukkah.
どうすれば
I was worried about her appearing on the TV like that, legs shaking and eyes swimming.
何を震えているの？皆さん、ほら、スマイル。
A rare beauty snuck into the club room and was there to cheer everyone up. Even the TV producers were surprised by her model-like figure. Of course, us too.
白鳥先輩。
Why are you here?
もちろん、あなたたちを見守るためよ。
あなたも天文部の方ですか？
あら、自己紹介がまだでしたわね。私、白鳥織姫と申しまして、何を隠そうむつら星の会を復活させた張本人ですの。
では、あなたも会のメンバーなんですね。
はい。
じゃあ、あなたもご一緒に。
その人もう引退して今は大学生やってますんで。ひかりさん？
じゃあダメだな。せっかく見栄えしそうだったけど。
The staff members lost interest when they lost the chance to shoot a beautiful lady on TV. The segment wasn't aiming for college students.
ひかりさん、あんまりですわ。テレビの取材が来てると聞きつけて、こっそり紛れ込みましたのに。あんまり出しゃばる OG は後輩に嫌われますよ。
Despite being really nervous, she really hated having the spotlight stolen from her. Or at least it seemed that way. If you're that interested, Orihime, then why don't you try becoming a TV performer? But thanks to Orihime, everyone seemed a little less nervous.
よしおか、そんな顔しないの。せっかくテレビであなたたちの活動を PR できるチャンスなのよ。はい、すみません。私、あまり目立つのは苦手で。悪いことをするのではないのだから、堂々としていなさい。ひかりさんをご覧なさい。あんなにもどっしりと構えて、緊張の木の字も感じさせませんわ。
Hikari remembered how nervous she was and went pale again. Urahime's careless words to her were already undoing the effect she had a minute ago.
もちろんですとも。私は世界のコメットガールですからね。日本のテレビくらい余裕っすよ。
Hikari declared as she thumped her chest, jiggling enough that it would compare to even Orihime. Don't go overdo it now, okay? We already had enough to worry about.
もうすぐ本番です。準備してください。
さあ、ほら皆さん、並んで並んで。
Orihime lined everyone up and shrewdly put me at the end. My teeth started to chatter as the show started.
ゆうどき部活青春レポート。本日ご紹介するのは6つ。こんにちは。こんにちは。皆さん天文部だと伺っているのですが、着てらっしゃる制服が違っていますね。さないでくれ。
There was even one person in just everyday clothing.
むつら星の会というのは一体何なんでしょう。
Everyone stiffly looked away when she asked the question. It was already decided that Hikari would answer, but just looking at her, it was clear that she was freaking out for fear of messing up.
むつら星の会というのは
Maybe she didn't know the setup, or maybe she did it on purpose, but Orihime started to answer the question. But then...
むつら星の会というのはですね、
Hikari desperately stopped her.
星の中市にある6つの学校の天文部地学部の集まりです。部
別々の学校が集まって活動しているんですか？
はい、その方がより高度な活動ができるからです。
Urahime pouted because she was snuffed out.
ムツラ星の会の皆さんは去年自分たちで天体望遠鏡を作ったんですよね。
As the reporter talked, the camera panned to the center of the clubroom. That's where we had moved and assembled Pleiades 1.
大きいですね。これが天体望遠鏡なんですか？
はい、ドブソニアンという自作望遠鏡で廃材のリサイクルで作りました。大きい方がたくさんの光を集めてくれますから、暗い天体を見ることもできるんです。
廃材で天体望遠鏡が作れてしまうんですね。
The reporter looked at the Pleiades 1 with interest, but maybe there was a little too much exaggeration in her voice.
ところでムツラ星の会では今また新たな活動に取り組んでいらっしゃるとか。
はい、
Hikari waited for the camera to move back to her, then looked straight at it and nodded with vigor. Then she started to explain Project Starlight.
双子座流星群が降る夜、みんなで部屋の電気を消して流星群を見ようという PR 活動をしています。その名もプロジェクトスターライト。
プロジェクトスターライト。
街の明かりが強すぎると夜空の星を隠してしまうことはご存知でしょうか。それは流星も同じで、街明かりのせいで本当は流れている流星も肉眼で見えなくなってしまうんです。でももし日本中の人々が部屋の明かりを消してくれたら、12月14日夜10時から30分間部屋の明かりを消して夜空を見上げてみてください。
Hikari said with excitement as she looked at the camera. The cameraman slid back to Hikari as Hikari came towards him.
光さん、近づきすぎです。
おっと、
ネットを使って呼びかけているんですよね。
そうです。ムツラ星の会だけじゃなく、日本中の学校の天文部がプロジェクトに参加してくれています。けどそれだけじゃまだ全然足りなくて、明るい夜のためにはもっともっとたくさんの人の協力が必要です。テレビを見ているそこのあなた、一緒に星降る夜に奇跡を起こしてみませんか？
カメラに近づきすぎないでくださいね。というわけで今日はちょっと変わった活動をしている天文部の皆さんのお話を聞かせていただきました。
詳しくはウェブで。
はい、カット。
And like that, it was all done. Hikari looked relieved and wiped her forehead.
寿命が縮まるかと思いました。
やっと終わった。
ヒカリン、張り切りすぎだよ。こっちが恥ずかしくなっちゃったよ。
いやー、でもいいアピールだったんじゃないですか。
そうでしょうとも。
I thought I was going to get the chills at the end.
私も何か喋りたかったな。
今日はどうもありがとうございました。
いえいえ、こちらこそどうもありがとうございました。
今日撮らせてもらった映像、夜のニュースにも流れるんで、よかったら見てください。
お母さんに録画頼んどかないと。
And so we had survived our sudden TV debut without an issue.
でももし日本中の人々が部屋の明かりを消してくれたら、きっとたくさんの流星が夜空に12月14日夜10時から30分間部屋の明かりを消して夜空を見上げてみてください。
光さん、近づきすぎです。
おっと、
ネットを使って呼びかけているんですよね。
そうです。ムツラ星の会だけじゃなく、日本中の学校の天文部がプロジェクトに参加してくれています。けどそれだけじゃまだ全然足りなくて、明るい夜のためにはもっともっとたくさんの人の協力が必要です。テレビを見ているそこのあなた、一緒に星降る夜に奇跡を起こしてみませんか？
カメラに近づきすぎないでくださいね。というわけで今日はちょっと変わった活動をしている天文部の皆さんのお話を聞かせていただきました。
詳しくはウェブで。
We had only expected to be a short segment during the nightly news, but it turned out to be longer than we thought. It became a major point to try and introduce the Geminid Media Shower to all over Japan. Before the show, they showed pictures of our club members and other things like the photos that we took of the Ladies Wonder for our blog. And here I thought that I didn't have any reason to be on TV with such lovely ladies. It was like I was watching events from another world. I never thought I would find myself on TV. Well, I had only been standing frozen in the back. Miss Miharu said, holding her stomach.
なんでですか？可愛く映ってたでしょ？
Well, you are cute, but you're cuter in person.
ありがとう。
I could have sworn that I heard Miss Miharu click her tongue, but maybe it was my imagination.
でもさ、こうやってテレビの取材が来ちゃうなんて、プロジェクトスターライトがそれだけ認知されてるってことだよね。
That's right. The producers had known about the project on the web and had hurriedly asked us to record it.
ほんと、大したもんだよ。あの森田さんに逆らった時にはどうしようかと思ったけど。
Mr. Morita is a pretty interesting person.
うん。ちょっと話長かったけどね。
Miss Miharu looked at us like she didn't believe us.
先生がノートをコンクールに送っててくれたからです。ありがとうございました。
お礼ならさやに言いなさい。
She was trying to shift the focus away from her.
そうですね。
さーってお風呂入ってこよっと。はきばし、あんたも早く帰んなさいよ。
はーい。
Do you still have a train to catch?
大丈夫。まだ余裕ある。
She was too excited after our appearance on TV that she didn't want to go home, so she had waited for me to finish work. People were talking about our appearance on TV. We were starting to get a lot of posts on social media. It wasn't only social media, we were also getting messages from other schools.
見ましたよ、テレビ。むつら星の会の皆さんってあんな感じなんですね。
ピカリンめっちゃ笑ったわ。カメラに近づきすぎやろ。あ、ピカリンって呼んで。
フレアデス1号、すげえ迫力でした。うちもやろうかな、自作。
ピカリン言うな。
ところで端っこに写ってた私服の人誰なん？顧問の先生？めっちゃ美人やったな。
In the Project Starlight group chat, people were starting to comment on the news. They were excited to get to know us, what the members looked like, how their voices sounded, what they wore, things like that.
ねえ、私服で端っこに写ってた OG に話題が集中してない？
Hikari's mood suddenly dropped as she searched for the net for reactions on her phone. People had wanted to know if the person in the plain clothes on the outside of the group was our club advisor or something. Or Jaime had only been on screen for a moment and she was really beautiful, so naturally they wanted to know about her.
きっちり爪痕残していったわね、あの人。
Hikari's mouth opened wide as she kept complaining. With her mouth open like that, I just slipped in a piece of orange.
さやも見てくれてたかな。
No idea.
私ね、さやは私に気を使ってるんじゃないかって思うの。さやがいると私が遠慮しちゃってアキトへの気持ちを出せなくなるって。だからわざとバカとか言ってきたんじゃないかな。
Probably. Hikari went silent. I could tell she wasn't happy with Saya's attitude, but understood that if Saya was around, she would act that way.
これが大人になってくってことなのかな。
She muttered as she flopped down on the table.
穴の開いたポケットから大切なものもそうじゃないものもポロポロとこぼれていっちゃう。子供の頃の宝物をみんな持ったまま大人にはなれないのかな。
I sighed a little and patted her head with my hand. It's about time.
やら帰りたくない。
We have to get up early tomorrow. We have that rehearsal to do.
やらだったら泊まってく。
Hickory stood up from the table, agitated. And what if your mom gave you a stricter curfew?
はーい。
Hickory stood up and sluggishly put on her coat. She had told her mom that she was going to be late, so her mom was going to pick her up by car at the station.
帰ったらテレビに出たって自慢しまくってやるんだ。お姉ちゃんきっと悔しがるぞ。
I also put on my jacket and got ready to go outside. But Hickory stood there not moving. I thought she'd still be making a fuss, but she had her eyes closed with her lips puckered up. You're so helpless. I checked to make sure the door was closed and moved closer to answer her desire. Okay, let's go.
物足りない。
I was thinking the same thing as I went outside with her. It was already pitch black outside, but I couldn't see any stars. I could barely make out the star that looked like Mars. It was so dark because a thin layer of clouds blurred out the sky. I thought that we might be able to see a shooting star, but things don't look promising. We still had 2 days until the Geminid's prime viewing time, but we still should have been able to start seeing some shooting stars around then. Hey! Hickory responded like she was in another world, staring at her phone. You still looking at your phone? You could check that later, you know. Hickory shook her head, telling me I was wrong.
さやにメッセージ送った。でも返事ない。
She'll just tell you that you're an idiot again.
もう。だってテレビ見てくれたかだけでも知りたいんだもん。
And what if she says that she didn't?
絶好だ。
Like that would ever happen. If you want to know that badly, why don't you just call her?
電話？
I'm not sure she would pick up the phone, though. But it would be harder to ignore a call than a text.
よし。
As she gathered her courage, Hickory made the call. She put her phone to her ear and waited. I guess that's that. Saya could be pretty stubborn. You could even say that she was unshakably headstrong. The probability of Saya picking up was probably lower than it would have been for the sky to clear up and the shooting stars to come out. I was studying for finals, but not making any progress at all. Every 5 minutes I would pick up my phone and check Project Starlight's social media. Tonight I was searching about Hickory and the group's TV debut.
誰かつぶやいてる。
Isn't the girl on the side in everyday clothes really beautiful?
また白鳥さんのことだ。
I was sure that Hickory was seeing this too. She was probably upset about it as well. I thought about what kind of face she would make.
ふてくされてあっくんに慰めてもらってるんだろうな。
It had been quite a while since I had last seen Hickory, and Aki at that. To be honest, I was really lonely. But if I was there, Hickory would hold herself back and Aki would notice. It was destined to happen at some time. Ever since I gave Hickory my love letter to hold on to, I couldn't be with them because they love each other. This was probably one part of growing up. I even stopped going near the stop and buy so I wouldn't see Aki. And because of that, I couldn't play with Cody anymore. And I really wanted to cuddle with him in his fluffy winter coat.
コタちゃん撫でたい。もふもふしたいよ。
さや、お風呂入っちゃいなさい。
はい。
It didn't look like I was going to get any studying done today, so I put my cap on my pen and stood up. I was about to leave my room when something outside my window caught my attention. I can't see any stars. Is it cloudy? It was probably just a little bit overcast. The weather forecast had said it was going to be clear, so it was probably just a few clouds blocking the stars. I really hated it when the weather was so unpredictable.
どうせなら雨でも降っちゃえばいいのに。
I was blaming my pent-up emotions on the weather, and right when I thought it was going to snap, a notification showed up on my phone. It was a message.
光からだ。
We were on TV. Did you see us? I read only what was on the notification bar. If I had opened the app and then it would show that I had read it, so I didn't.
見たよ。ほんとハラハラした。
If I had been there with them, I'm certain that I would have looked just as skittish on TV. It had been a while since I'd seen Hikari. It felt like it had been far longer than when she had been abroad for a year. The only time that I had seen her had been on the TV. I recorded it.
録画したの。後でもう一回見よう。
But I wouldn't message her. I wouldn't even read any of her messages. That's when I decided.
もう二人の邪魔したくないから
As I whispered that to myself, my phone began to ring. Hikari. Her name showed up on my screen.
しつこいな。
She probably knew I wouldn't answer, and yet she was still trying to call me. It was just proof that Hikari really treasured me as a friend. And she was precious to me, too. That's why I wouldn't get in their way. So I turned my phone over and hid it under my pillow and went to take a bath. When I went to close my window, bam! The night sky lit up like it caught on fire. A bright light traversed the sky, illuminating the thin veil of clouds.
見た。火球だったよね。
雲越しにもはっきり見えた。
What we just saw was a bolide. A bolide is the big brother of meteors. When a bolide collides with the atmosphere, it can light up like a fireball. The bigger it is, the brighter it can be. If it makes it to land without burning up in the atmosphere, it becomes a meteorite. But like this one, it was extremely rare for them to shine so bright that they could be seen through the clouds. What could I say? I had answered her call without even thinking.
じゃあね。
ねえさや、昔みたいに3人で一緒に星を見てたあの頃みたいにできないかな。
無理だよ。私たちもう子供じゃないし。
I didn't want to say that. That's why I said it so angrily.
もしかしたら。
もしかしたら
なんでもない。お風呂入らなきゃだから。
12月14日来てくれるよね。
わからない。
絶対に実現させるから。明るい夜はだから来て。待ってるから。
待ってるから。
After saying that, Hikari hung up and lowered the phone from her ear. What did I say?
お風呂入るって。
Huh?
あとはもしかしたらって言ってた。
What was there to think about? Whatever it was, I was pretty sure that Saya wouldn't have told Hikari anyway. Anyway, that bolide was amazing, right?
どっかに落ちたかもね。
We had actually seen it through the clouds. It was so rare to see such an epic phenomenon.
絶対成功させようね。
Yeah, to light up the night, right? We promised each other right then and there. It was Saturday, December 13th. It was the day before the Geminids' peak viewing time. I was in Harbor Town. We were blessed with good weather, and Harbor Town was as lively as it always was on the holidays. The European-styled streets were crowded with kids, with their parents, students, and the elderly, with no distinction between the young and old. There were street performers juggling, and a man dressed in like a sailor in the town's theme, was playing the sax in the middle of the road. There were artists drawing portraits and even pantomimes. It was lively and bright. The small street was like a dreamland. Over in the corner was Harbor Town's mascot, Harbor Boy, just standing there. A while ago, he had been swarmed by kids who were causing him some trouble. They had been punching and kicking and climbing all over him. He had been doing his best to avoid the kids. But then they found the pedestal right beside Harbor Boy. They had been trying to climb on top of the pedestal to take pot shots at Harbor Boy's huge head. He was trying his best to keep them from climbing up. They might get hurt if they fell off, after all. For Harbor Town, this was all a pretty normal scene. I thought I saw something moving toward the crowd. Through the crowd, it seemed to be coming toward me. It was a girl in a school uniform. She had long twin tails that reminded me of a comet. As the girl leapt into the air, she aimed for the pedestal beside Harbor Boy and jumped directly up, not even touching the steps. After a graceful landing on the top, Hikari smiled with glee at her achievement.
お姉ちゃんパンツ見えた坊やそれは短パンよ
She answered without anger and stood up on the platform. Other than a quick glance to the side, no one was giving any attention to Hikari on the pedestal. I guess it was normal. She was just an ordinary high school girl. Hikari didn't lose heart from the lack of attention and yelled out to everybody.
コメットガールは空の平和を守りたい
And then out of nowhere, she pulled out her recorder and slowly started playing. It was a melody that everybody knew. It was a plain, calm tone, but the noise from the crowd drowned it out. A few people looked at her like she was crazy. But the children who came to listen were different.
お姉ちゃん俺それ吹けるじゃあみんなで吹こっか
The children climbed up the pedestal and started playing their recorders. I have no idea where they got them, but they also had castanets and triangles with them too. As the music got louder, people passing by were drawn in with the high school girl and the kids playing musical.
何やってるんだろうあれ
そう
Once a person stopped, more people did. When Harbor Town realized what was happening, he helped settle them into a crowd. Everybody was listening to the nostalgic notes of the recorder. They finished playing the short song. And there was a slight applause.
皆さん聞いてくれてありがとう一緒に吹いてくれたみんなもありがとう楽しかったよお姉ちゃん
Hikari patted the kids on their heads.
懐かしいねリコーダーあの曲だったら私も吹けるよ
でもなんであんなとこで演奏してたんだ
そう
As the performance ended, the crowd started to disperse when suddenly a saxophone started playing. It was the sailor from before. He heard the kids' performance and started playing like he was asking permission to join in. Hearing the soft melody of the saxophone, Hikari looked at the kids and nodded. The sax-playing sailor started an impromptu jam session with Hikari and the kids. The different sounds coming from all around the street started to meld together into one song in the blue sky. A large group of people started to stop and listen to the comforting music. And that's when... A high school girl appeared from the crowd and handed Harbor Boy a large drum.
ささ遠慮せずに
The high school girls forcefully attached a drum to Harbor Boy. Hikari noticed this and in her peripheral vision. She smiled and winked, giving him permission. Harbor Boy played the drum. The heavy rhythm from the drum reverberated into the clear sky. The music was simple, but I think it was starting to have an effect on the people listening. People finally started to stop and listen once Harbor Boy began to join the jam session with the drum. More and more people started to gather.
ハーバー君が太鼓叩いてる。
なかなかやるな、あの着ぐるみ。
Hikari was looking around at the crowd while she was playing the recorder. The traffic started to slow down as people were stopping to check out what was going on. Because of that, the road was starting to get congested. Thinking it was just about time, Hikari winked to somebody.
何？
おい、あっち。
And suddenly there was a sound of a wind instrument playing. The music seemed to be coming from all around, even from inside the crowd.
こっちにもいる。
どうなってんだこれ。
On the other side of the road, there was the sound of a trumpet and a clarinet coming from a shaded alleyway. And a French horn was performing in front of a classy boutique. The people who were watching this small performance were looking all around them for the new performers. Hikari saw everyone's surprise. She laughed teasingly and slapped Harbor Boy on the shoulder.
ハーバー君、準備はいい？
Quietly nodding, Harbor Boy waved his hand to the crowd.
これよりスターライトパレードを始めます。
Hikari stepped down from the pedestal and began playing the recorder as she marched. Harbor Boy and the kids followed behind. All of the performers filed into line one after the other. The confused onlookers watched as the parade started to move. The visitors of Harbor Town were pretty surprised by the energetic parade that had come out of nowhere. And in the lead was the high school girl playing the recorder. Behind her were children playing recorders in triangles. Following was a brass band made up of people wearing different school uniforms or even just casual clothes. And Harbor Boy was right there with them, so people thought that this was an official Harbor Town event. But City Hall was never told about it.
ハーバータウンにご来場の皆さん、こんにちは。楽しんでますか？
うんうん。
誰でも参加できるパレードなんで、よかったら皆さんもご一緒にパレードしましょう。
スターライトパレードだって。盛り上がってんね。
誰でも参加していいんだって。私たちも行こうよ。
こんなこともあろうかとマイトライアングル持ってきた。
Young girls left the crowd and joined the parade. And they had recorders and the ever so essential instrument for this song, the triangle.
参加できるみたいだよ。どうする？いやでも楽器持ってないじゃん。
よかったらこれ使います？
あ、カスタネット。リコーダーもありますので遠慮なくどうぞ。さっきそこで配ってました。よし行こう。ヤッホー。成功。この調子でどんどん行こっか。楽器配ろう。
Spectators were joining the parade one after another. There were even performers who didn't have any instruments getting hyped up. There were street performers juggling as they entertained the crowd. And dancers as well. Even the mimes joined in, pretending to play instruments. Taking it all in, I uttered to Hikari, "Looks like things are turning out smoothly." This spontaneous parade had actually been our plan all along. Hikari was in the lead, and the other people following were the brass bands from each school and the Six Stars Club. The sailor playing the saxophone was actually the advisor for Nisei High's astronomy club. He was useless when it came to astronomy and barely showed up to the club, but today he was more than willing to help with his saxophone. However, many of the people were not planted. There were people Corona had handed instruments to, people without instruments, or people just clapping along with the song. They were people who just simply wanted to join in.
でもここからだよ。
Not yet. There was still more to come. Just as I was thinking about it,
ちょっと待った。
a voice came from above. It was the high-pitched sounds of an electric guitar solo. A mysterious guitarist was on top of a small building holding a guitar.
俺たちも参加させてもらうぜ。
いちいち宣言しなくてもいいっての。
The three-person rock band couldn't move away from the roof, so they played from up there. They were more than loud enough. Takeichi was the one playing the guitar. The members on the drums and bass were his goons from back in elementary school. Takeichi had started the band because he wanted to pull in girls, but it had been hard to practice with his basketball schedule. He was pretty hyped to be able to show off his skills in the parade. And thus the enthusiastic parade marched all around Harborland with a rock band joining in.
プロジェクトスターライトにご協力をお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
The other members of the Six Stars Club handed out flyers to people interested in the parade.
皆さん、明日の夜10時からプロジェクト開始ですのでご協力お願いします。よろしくお願いします。ほら、どうしようか。シャキッとなさい。はい。しかし私はこういう目立つことは苦手なので堂々としていればいいのです。あの方のように。
よろしくお願いするであります。
怖がって誰もビラを受け取っていませんよ。
The alumni were helping us out. Noriko and Naru both had entrance exams to study for, so they couldn't make it, but Kaisuke and Omerheimi had both come. Our friends had all come out, and if they weren't performing or handing out flowers, they were mixed with the crowd, helping to make things more exciting. It sure was impressive, even for Harbor Town.
来たよ。
光先輩、目線ください。
A first year with a camera was waving her hand from the balcony of the two-story building. It looked like they were in charge of the live coverage of the parade. Hikari and the children waved to the camera.
ネットの向こうの皆さん、スターライトパレードでーす。よそのパレードもうまくいってるかな。
I'm sure that they're doing well. By the way, Harbor Town wasn't the only place that was doing a Starlight Parade. We had planned to do parades in several locations all over Japan at the exact same time. The Starlight Parade was Project Starlight's final push, one day before the meteor shower. We had used the internet to call out help from members of all of the projects located all over the country. So there would be similar parades pulling in participants from other locations at that same time. This was to promote the project and to as many people as possible, not just students and astronomy fans. We had set up some basic rules. It had to be a song that everybody knew. Also, we had set the time to start the parade. There were probably some people that had heard about the parade on the internet and had just come to see it in person. It looked like some people brought their own instruments with them. And thus the ever-growing parade went all around Harbor Town and came back to the same street where we started. Hikari called out to me. I was the one wearing the Harbor Boy suit. I waved Harbor Boy's giant hand and the parade stopped moving and the music went silent. After making sure everybody had stopped, Hikari went to the top of the stage. Hikari was a little out of breath from performing while marching. Before anybody noticed, Hikari smiled at everybody. And everyone erupted into a roaring applause. It was so loud that the surrounding buildings looked like they'd shake. And another round of applause. People were screaming that they had had fun too. Hikari waited for the sound to calm down before making her announcement.
ところで皆さん、明日の夜、流星の雨が降ることをご存知ですか？
There were people who knew about it, but there were also some people who didn't.
私から一つお願いがあります。明日、12月14日の夜10時、部屋の明かりを消してみてください。そして、夜空を見上げてください。もし、ここにいるみんなの気持ちが一つに重なったなら、きっと夜空に星の雨が降っているはずです。大流星群の降る夜に、みんなで奇跡を起こしましょう。明るい夜のために。
明るい夜のために。明るい夜のために。
There were some normal people that joined the Six Stars Club members in saying to light up the night. Hearing that, Hikari smiled with pleasure.
それでは最後に、キラキラと輝く星たちへ 演奏を届けましょう。いいですか？
Hikari raised a recorder, and everybody grabbed their instruments. Hikari had winked at me, the person inside the harbor buoy, and brought her recorder to her lips. When the performance ended, the cheer that had erupted shook Harbor Town.
ありがとう。みんな、ありがとう。
Hikari, along with the members of the Six Stars Club and all their friends, waved in gratitude. The Starlight Parade had ended in a great success.
お疲れ様でした部長。コメントがある先輩。また明日ね、アキミピカリン。はあ、疲れた。
After Corona and the others got on the bus, Hikari collapsed on my back. Her chest was barely being held back underneath her uniform, and it was pressing up against me.
もうくたくただよ。あきとおんぶして。
We've been working all day. I wouldn't carry her, but I used my weight to drag Hikari along as she clung to me. Early in the morning, we'd had a rehearsal for the parade. The premise was for it to be a surprise parade, so we had a detailed meeting and practice run before the stores opened in Harbor Town. After that, we'd taken a short break until we met up again right after lunch. Then we did the parade. Once the parade was over, we handed out flyers about Project Starlight. Apparently, the bands had gotten together and celebrated after the parade, but we didn't have the luxury. The parade was just one part of our advertisements for the real show the next day. The members of the Six Stars Club had split into their respective groups and were handing out flyers and helping with the light covers.
お腹すいたよ。何か食べようよ。
Want to go to the stop and buy, or could we do cup ramen?
行くのめんどい。
Cup ramen it is then. I dragged Hikari toward the club room. Drag. Seriously, start walking.
やら
Don't expect me to spoil you all the time.
ー。だって忙しくて全然イチャイチャできないんだもん。せっかく付き合ってるのにさ。だからイチャイチャの密度を上げてくしかないんだよ。むぎゅぎゅー。ぐりぐりぐり。
It's hard to walk like this.
冷たい。ふんだ。いいもんいいもん。
I gave in to Hikari's sulking and leaned over to give her a piggyback ride. I finally reached the club room and Hikari unlocked the door while still on my back. Here we were, back in the room that I had once called home. I lowered Hikari into a chair as I went to heat up some water. As dusk was approaching, you could hear the baseball team on the field through the window. It was time for the sports clubs to leave. Which do you want?
ドン吉大盛り。
Then I'll take the yakisoba. While we waited for our food to cook, we booted up the computer and we were browsing the internet.
うわ、なにこれすっごい量。
We had a social network site up as one of our tabs. Just trying to keep up with all the posts on that tab was already daunting.
めっちゃ盛り上がってたよ。超楽しかった。明日の流星群も楽しみ。中継で見てた。現地行きたかった。
It looks like people were even posting while at the event. We gathered up all the posts about it and looked at the posted photos.
コメットガールのコスプレがいて笑った。コスプレじゃないよ、本人だよ。
It was weird because while Hikari was the original comic girl, there were people who thought that she was just someone else doing a cosplay. I guess they thought this because we had reshot the Comic Girl footage, rather than using the original that had gone viral.
本物のコメットガールの方が細くて可愛いってどういうこと？何？私太った？
Hikari looked at me for some sort of confirmation. I grabbed the meat around her belly. It was a good slap. Ow! You just caught that with a growth spurt. I love the way that you are right now.
男の子にはわかんないのよ。女の苦労が。
She grumbled. I believe that the first Comic Girl video was taken on a smartphone. The wide angles probably helped her make her look thinner or something. Are you going to post anything, Hikari? After a few minutes, Hikari was eating her udon and typing out a response with one hand. Thank you very much for coming out today. It was great seeing everyone so excited. Hashtag Project Starlight. But the real event is tomorrow night at 10. Be sure to look up for the falling stars to light up the night. Again, hashtag Project Starlight. Hikari posted on Project Starlight's account, and there were immediate responses. Shares, likes, and notifications about replies were coming in one after the other.
みんな、明日の本番も参加してくれるって。
This is becoming one crazy movement. I never imagined that things would turn out like this. When we had our setbacks 1 week before, we had felt so hopeless. And then in just a week, we had turned it all around.
森田さん様々だね。
Hikari reflected on everything as she slurped up her noodles. Hi. I gobbled up my yakisoba. We were only able to make the Harbor Town Parade such a success because of Mr. Morita's aid. Mr. Morita had talked with us after the parade.
私は約束を果たしたまで、あなた方の頑張りが大人たちを動かしたんです。ハーバータウンの偉い人たちも喜んでいましたよ。若者はタウンのメインターゲットでもありますし、良い宣伝にもなったはずです。プラネタリウムの館長としても、天体に絡めたイベントで盛り上げることができて幸いでした。私からもお礼を言わせてください。ありがとう、皆さん。あなたたちの若さが眩しい。我々も負けてはいられません。
That's what Mr. Rita had to say when we saw him after the parade. We had really done our best to make the parade a success. Furthermore, the reactions on the web weren't only about the parade. It was hard to see the full picture when each parade from all over Japan had its own unique style, and all that information got jumbled together.
京風天文部のパレード、やっぱ盛り上がってたみたい。ロボットが先導してたんだって。
That's an engineering school for you. We took a look at their video. There was a two-legged robot leading the parade with a band. It was a cute group with its toy. When they reached the ending zone, and a glider from the aviation club swooped down as the parade was ending.
うちらが一番派手だと思ってたけど、これはいい勝負ね。
It wasn't like we were rivals or anything, but it was really hard not to feel competitive. But it was all good publicity. The video that the Kaifu Astronomy Club had uploaded was good quality and edited very well. The other parades looked like they were good fun too.
明日も参加するって言ってくれてる人、たくさんいるね。
Hikari squinted her eyes as she said that with glee. Hi. Looking at the computer right beside her, I also nodded with the same smile.
よーし、食べたらもうひと頑張り。
Fully energized, Hikari ate the juicy fried tofu. We were going to do as much as we could on the internet until the main event the next day. We wanted as many people participating as possible. If we could get just one more light turned off, that would be one more star in the sky. Or even just one more person looking up at the falling stars. We would do anything we could to make that happen.
いい湯だった。
While hitting the cash register's key with the undisguised discontent, Miss Miharu followed the freshly bathed Hikari out of the corner of her eye. Hickory, are you getting anything?
そうだ、夜食。
One more cup of instant noodles. We've got enough rice balls.
豚まん。
And one pork bun, please.
あ
Miss Miharu placed the pork bun in the bag.
2382円です。
Please don't look at me with such hostility.
あんたのせいで、私が何時間地獄の労働を強いられてると思ってんのよ。見たいテレビだってあるのに。
Miss Miharu never missed her 2-hour suspense dramas. Sorry for the inconvenience. But thanks to you, the parade was a great success.
そうなんですよ。先生もネット見てください。
Hickory flew to the counter in her excitement, but Miss Miharu just looked at her coldly.
こっちとら勤務中でしてね。スマホは？
They're not allowed during work, at least for Miss Miharu anyway. I was allowed to use mine. It's almost closing time, Miss Miharu, so hang in there for just a while longer.
明日もじゃん。あんたら明日も忙しいんでしょ？
I didn't have any response to that. I'll make up for it, I promise.
せいぜい青春するがいいわ。
I took my change from the extremely sulky Miss Miharu and we left the store. All right, we'll be off.
おやすみなさい、先生。あほら、寄るんじゃない。お風呂入ったばっかなんだから。
From outside the limit of Kotaru's leash, Hickory shooed the dog away. We had taken a bath at Desayotome's house after buying the snacks. Now we were heading back to school. Looks like it's going to rain soon. As I got on my bike, I looked up at the dark, starless sky. The weather forecast was for rain tonight.
風も出てきたね。
Hickory tightened the collar of her coat. Let's hurry. We put the bag full of snacks in the front basket while Hickory sat on the rack in the rear. All good?
いいよ。
We headed out of the direction of the school. I needed to spend a lot of time on the computer, so I decided to stay at the club room for the night. Hickory was joining me. Her house was far away, and she didn't have her own computer. When we got back to the room, I got online right away. New comments were coming in by the hour, and as the countdown to the finale of the Project Starlight began.
雨、心配してる人いるね。
Hi. The forecast for tonight was rain. The rain was supposed to stop by noon the next day. Clear skies were forecasted for the night.
こっちもメッセージ来てる。
Hickory was looking at her phone.
むつら星のパレード盛り上がってましたね。
悔しいな。うちももっと盛り上げたかった。
慶風さんの動画を見ましたが、ロボットが先導するアイデアが面白くて楽しかったです。さすがですね。うちはブラスバンド部がないので、うちの学校らしい部に協力をお願いしました。みんなノリノリでやってくれましたよ。
俺たちはパレードやれるほど人を集められなかったけど、その分ネットで応援してました。
うちらも頑張ったで。コスプレの人がぎょうさん集まってハロウィンみたいになってたけど。
最後に飛んでいた飛行機も慶風さん。グライダーですね。あれはソアリング部の協力です。みんな明日の本番も参加してくれると言ってました。
People from other schools who had taken part in the parade were sharing their successes and struggles. They had never met one another, but a community had been born online.
あとは明日の本番を待つだけですね。と。
Hickory was posting something too. Beside her, I was on the computer writing comments. Huh? What's up? I didn't realize it, but Hickory leaned over to sniff at my neck. I'd just taken a bath, so I didn't think there would be anything to smell.
もうちょっと汗の匂いがする方が好みかな。
What are you talking about?
秋田の匂いの話だよ。男の子の汗の匂いって悪くないよね。
やだ、嗅がないでよ。
Hickory tried to escape, but I held on to her as I sniffed the back of her neck. And you smell nice. Is that from the shampoo?
女の子は無味無臭なの。
As if in retaliation, Hickory grabbed me and sniffed at my neck again.
いい匂い。男の子の匂いがする。
Stop acting like a pervert.
やだ家具。くんかくんか。
I could have moved closer so that Hickory's nose would get tickled, but I was afraid she'd shout out, "You stink," or something like that. For now, I just tried to get away.
なんで意地悪するの。もっと嗅がせろ。
Isn't there some better way to interact? We're not animals, you know.
やだ。
Somehow we got into a scuffle and hit the desk, causing all of my stuff to fall to the floor. Ah, what are we doing?
アキトが抵抗するからでしょ。
Hickory grumbled as she picked up my things.
何これ。
Hickory picked up a box, slightly too large for candy, that had fallen out of my bag. That's... I hurriedly tried to take it back, but Hickory deftly avoided my grasp. Hickory probably had no idea what it was, so she read the instructions on the box. Her face slowly reddened. I took the box of condoms from Hickory's frozen hand. It's not like that, okay? I brought this here only as a precaution, not because I had any other ideas. Got it? Don't look at me like that.
学校だよここ。ほんと、何考えてるんだか。
Hickory sighed as if she were completely and utterly shocked. I turned even redder than she did and stuffed the box of condoms back deep inside my bag. I really wasn't going to do anything, okay? After the bath, I happened to see the box when I went to get my clothes, so I brought it along just in case. Hickory moved away from me to stand by the window.
降ってきた。
As Hickory looked through the pitch-dark window at the rain outside, she sounded a little uneasy. Behind her, still feeling super awkward about the condoms, I got our beds ready. If you want to sleep, just go ahead. I planned to stay up a while more for my online vigil, but Hickory was probably exhausted after her big day at the head of the parade. Which do you want? It was either a sleeping bag or a bunch of blankets laid on top of one another. It'll be warmer in the sleeping bag, so you should take it. As I rolled out the sleeping bag, Hickory suddenly grabbed me from behind. What's up?
アキトと一緒がいい。
It looked like she was back to being sweet again. We can't both fit in the sleeping bag, can we?
毛布なら一緒にくるまれるよ。
What did she mean by that? Was it an invitation?
眠くなってきちゃった。雨音って眠気誘われるよね。
Hickory yawned theatrically as she burrowed into the blankets. Sleeping on her side, she faced her back to me. I put the condoms in my pocket just in case, and went under the blankets too. Hickory? Lying right up against Hickory's back, I whispered in her ear. I really like you, Hickory. I felt the warmth of her body, but there was no response to my words. Even Hickory must have felt a little nervous. Hickory? Fast asleep. She must have been really tired. She was gone the moment she wrapped herself up in those blankets. Guess I should sleep too. I bet sleeping beside Hickory's warmth would feel nice. With that thought, I closed my eyes. I was pretty tired too, but maybe I was nervous about tomorrow's event, or troubled by the wicked thoughts stuffed in my pocket. Because I didn't sleep at all. Click, click. Only the faint sound of mouse clicks could be heard in the dark room. I was staring blankly at the bright monitor. All wrapped up in the blankets, Hickory tossed and turned in her sleep. Noticing that I wasn't beside her, she sat up and rubbed her eyes sleepily. I just sat there in silence and stared at the monitor. This time Hikari stood up from the bed, still wrapped in a blanket. Throwing her whole body weight at me, she grabbed me from behind. My chair screeched against the floor. You're heavy. Squeeze. She squeezed my cheeks. Ow, 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 I'm sorry. Looks like everyone's going to bed soon. I guess many people intend to stay up the whole night tomorrow. There were still people online asking about how the afternoon's parade or meteor shower was coming the next day. But compared to an hour ago, there had been much less activity. Her arms still around me, Hikari rocked back and forth. I'm not your body pillow, okay? I reached into the convenience store bag on the desk. I'm gonna have a snack, I'm hungry. You'll get fat if you eat at this hour. After a moment's hesitation, she convinced herself with an excuse. Okay, I'll boil some water then. Her mood bounced back and Hikari went over to the window. The sound of the rain didn't let up. It's supposed to. I turned on the kettle, then went over and stood next to Hikari. She seemed worried, so I put my arm around her shoulder. It'll be fine. Everything we had done was all for Project Starlight. It was all for the 30 minutes starting at 10 o'clock the next night. We'd done all we could. The rest was up to fate in the sky. You want to make a Teru Sunshine amulet? I meant that as a joke, but Hikari nodded seriously. It looks like there was something left for us to do after all. Saya clapped her hands happily. I stared up, awestruck at Hikari's face, illuminated by the dim light of dawn, and felt a sense of hope. Right! I felt we could go anywhere. We could solve the mysteries of outer space. I felt like we could reach out our hands and catch the stars. The three of us. As long as Hikari was there. Here we were. It was Sunday, December 14th. It was the day of the Geminid meteor shower's peak. Corona hung up her freshly made Teru Sunshine amulet by the window. It was quite a majestic sight having all 30 dolls hanging side by side. Teru amulets were a kind of paper talisman that was supposed to keep the rain away. What are you doing, Hinami? With a brush pen, Hinami was writing something on a paper strip, the kind used in Tanabata. Hinami hung up that paper strip next to Corona's Teru Sunshine amulets. While the first years kept themselves busy, the older students kept staring anxiously outside the window. Hanukkah wondered out loud, looking up at the thick clouds that just kept producing more and more rain. The weather forecast had been updated in the morning. It was supposed to rain into the night. It's going to stop at some point. After all, there is supposed to be a 0% chance of rain after midnight.
けど問題はプロジェクトスターライトの設定時間に間に合うかどうかだよね。
That's right. Right now it was Hikari, Hanukkah, Corona, and Hinami who were with me in the room. The main event was going to be held at the abandoned station as usual, so we had met up first at my school.
みんな天気のこと心配してるみたい。
Hikari sat down at the computer to read the screen. There were many comments online that expressed doubt about the viewing conditions. It was the same with Project Starlight's group chat.
皆さん、天気はどうですか？こっちはプロジェクトのスタート時間に晴れるかどうか微妙な感じです。
こっちはむっちゃ晴れてんで。今夜は最高の星見日和になりそうや。
うちのところは少し雲があるけど、多分夜には晴れます。
私たちもむつら橋の皆さんと同じですね。11時過ぎれば晴れてきそうですけど。
うちも微妙だな。まあ0時過ぎればまず問題なく流星群観望できると思うから、それ自体は心配してないけどさ。
時間的にみんな結構微妙そうだな。11時頃からならどこもだいたい大丈夫そうだけど。
時間をずらしますか？
11時スタートにする？
No, we can't. I shook my head. We won't be able to inform everyone about the change. Even if we put the update online, it would only reach some of the people. It would likely miss the people we wanted to share Project Starlight with the most, all the unknown strangers in the city. And who knows, at a later time, the clouds might roll in over some areas and bring rain. Now that the project had gone national, we couldn't think only of the conditions in Hoshinonaka City. The rain will stop. We just have to believe that and wait.
そうですね。そうだね。それまでネットで最後の呼びかけをしよう。
じゃあコロナたちはてるてる坊主を吊るして逆雨乞いの儀式を続けよう。
目標300匹。スパルタの勇者たちのような強力な軍勢で雨雲を追い払う。
私もやります。じっとしてても落ち着かないので。
Hanukkah sat down with the first years and started to work on the dolls, with a face that maybe was just a little too serious. The persistent rain from the night was still falling. I wasn't going to get any studying done today, so I just kept staring at the computer. I was following all messages tagged with Project Starlight on social media. People seemed worried about the weather, and some were saying that the start time should be delayed. In the middle of all that, someone uploaded a drawing of a Teratua Shunshuin amulet.
伊藤さんの絵だ。
Ito was also a member of the Saisen Girls Astronomy Club, and her hobby was drawing comics. It showed a cute girl in a white raincoat hanging from a laundry pole, just like a Teratora amulet. It was saying, "Stop raining!" It was her way of praying for good weather, I guess. After that, other people also started posting drawings and photos of Teratora sunshine amulets and using our tag.
私も。
I took a photo of my Teratora sunshine amulet hanging from the curtain rail and posted it to my account. I didn't tell Akito or Hikari about it, but I had my own account. I hardly used it, though, except to read messages from writers and artists I liked.
面白いな。
It happened with Project Starlight, too. Someone made a small ripple online, then someone else joined in, and soon you had a huge wave. It was a natural process to some extent, but still, it was very intriguing.
光だ。
Hikari had posted something on the Project Starlight account. Meteor shower observation tips. Don't forget to turn off your room lights. Then get your eyes used to the dark for 30 minutes before observing the meteor shower. After the initial buzz, it was mainly Hanukkah and Hikari who wrote using this account. Hanukkah sounded more formal, of course. I had spread the word by posting several meteor shower observation tips like those. Hikari is doing everything she...
最後まで頑張ろうって思ってるんだね。
I would do everything I could to help too. Not that there was much left for me to do, or so I thought. Our team members are making a Terra army, Project Starlight. There was a photo of 100 or so Terra amulets along with their creators, Corona and the others. I looked at my Terra amulet hanging by the window. Maybe making more dolls would have a greater effect. I turned around and saw my mom peeking in.
何お母さん。あなた今夜流星群見に行くんでしょ？そうだけど。
How did she know? I hadn't told her about tonight's meteor shower.
お母さんの職場でも話題になっているわよ。なんとか計画ってやつ。あれ、ひかりちゃんたちがやってるんだってね。そういえば、最近あなた、アキトくんたちと遊んでないんじゃない？どうして？だって、いつも家にいるじゃない。お天気のいい日も星を見に行かずに。喧嘩でもしたの？そんなことないよ。都合が合わないだけ。そう。ならいいけれど。
Seeing me lower my eyes automatically, my mother looked as if she wanted to say something. But she didn't, and she gave me a little smile instead.
お母さん、これから仕事なんだけど、流星群って10時からなのよね。流星群はずっと見えてるよ。みんなで電気を消すのが10時から。10時に電気を消すのね。わかったわ。星を見るのなんて何年ぶりかしら。
With a note of anticipation in her voice, my mother walked out of the room and went downstairs. Even my mom's looking forward to it. We didn't even talk about the stars normally. It was so unexpected it made me realize how amazing what Hikari and the others were doing. Maybe, just maybe. The night sky from before. With the light of the stars. I sent a prayer out of the window. My quiet prayer echoed in the rain as it continued to splash down. The report came in after 8 p.m.
晴れてきた。マジですか、のりちゃん先輩。本当ですか。
晴れてるってどのくらいですか、先輩。
星は流星群は見えていますか？
食いつきすご。どうなの、のりちゃん先輩。西の空に雲がなくなって星が見えてるよ。もうとっくに雨は止んでる。流れ星だ。マジっすか。ということは
もうすぐこっちも晴れますよ。
よっしゃー。
Amahai's Noriko lived in the western part of Hoshinonaka City. The rain clouds are moving southwest to northeast, and since Hikari was in Mikazaki now, she would be the first to confirm that the skies were clear. Noriko said that the weather had cleared up. That meant that soon, the weather here would clear up too.
ここでお天気情報です。北関東を覆っていた分厚い雲は太平洋側へ流れ、現在晴れ間が広がっています。今夜は非常に珍しい双子座大流星群が見られるということで、何やら各地で催しなどが。
晴れたね。
The dreary rain that had fallen all day was gone, like a bad dream, and countless stars flaunted their light above our heads. Meteors were shooting across the clear night sky. Upon seeing the stars, Miss Miharu turned her back to the store.
母さん、もう店閉めるね。
Without waiting for a response, she turned off the signboard lights and put up a sign on the door. Closed for the meteor shower.
これでよしと。
ちょっとあんた、どこ行くんだい？
小太郎の散歩。
It was a few minutes before 9 at night. People were gathering in front of the suddenly closed Stop and Buy.
晴れたっすね。
晴れたね
もう流星が流れてますよ。ほら。
やだ、見ない。まだ見ない。
Hikari covered her eyes with her hand to block the meteors out.
私はプロジェクトが始まるまで空を見ないぞ。
Hikari spoke with resolve, but she could barely hide her excitement. It was the same with the others. Everyone was excited, as if a festival were about to begin.
てるてる坊主300匹の威力かな。頑張りました。
The 300 Terra Terra Sunshine amulets were an impressive sight. I found myself wanting to believe that their effort had caused the rain clouds to go away earlier than expected. The heroes were going to be reused as normal tissue paper tomorrow. There was probably enough to last us a while.
ネットでも喜びの声が広がっております。
Hinami, as usual, was keeping watch on her phone.
晴れた流星群シャープスターライト計画などのワードがトレンド入りしてます部長。
Really? If a word or phrase was trending, that meant that it was being used by many people on social media in a short span of time. In other words, many people were glad the sky was clear, they were interested in the meteor shower, and they were using the Project Starlight tag. How far has Project Starlight spread, I wonder? If the project was trending on social media, it was going to reach even more people than before. And if it was going to spread even further...
海外にも波及してるみたいだよ。
Wow, really?
ほら。
Corona showed me an English language site. I couldn't read most of it, but it looked like a description of Project Starlight along with photos and a video of yesterday's parade.
コメットガール効果です。コメットガール動画は海外でも高く評価されているのです。
私、世界へ。ピカリンはコメットガールのやたらハイレベルなコスプレやってる人でしょ。生意気言う口はこの口か。ピカリンギブギブ。こらあんたたち騒ぐんじゃないの今だ。
As expected, Miss Maharu gave us all a scolding.
ご近所迷惑考えなさい。怒られるのは私なんだからね。
Miss Maharu's selfish warning fell on deaf ears. The noisiness continued. Well, the only house nearby was the Sayatoms, so we weren't really disturbing anyone. Just then, an expensive-looking car drove by. It went around the rotary and stopped in front of us. As everyone stared, a beautiful girl, quite out of place in Mikuzaki, stepped out of the car.
晴れましたわね。
Otohime!
来たんですか。白鳥先輩。
Hanuka went to stand beside our unexpected guest.
どうして先輩が。
I was sure you would go with everyone at the university club. The university's astronomy club was the real deal. They thought nothing of spending the night in a tent atop a mountain to watch the stars. They were probably heading out right now to a viewing spot far away from the city's lights.
今夜はムツラ星の会の一大イベントよ。私が参加しないでどうするの？
Orihime giggled, her voice full of confidence.
確かにそうだね。
Hikari didn't sound particularly convinced. In any case, it was very clear that Orihime liked the Six Stars Club very much. And we liked her very much because of that.
よー、飽きた。
It's Taki and Naru!
いやみんな。
Escorted by Takeichi, Naru was next to appear.
いいんですかこんなとこ来ちゃって。受験勉強あるんじゃ。
はあ？何言ってんだ。今夜の流星群を見損ねたらそれこそ一生後悔するよ。
Are you two really a couple? I asked a question that had been on my mind the whole time. Naru glared at Takeichi.
まあね。
Naru didn't look too happy. Her face reddened and she looked away.
ツンデレだ。
書いたようなツンデレだ。記念に一枚撮らせてもらおう。
I'm sorry I doubted you, Take.
お前、あれ冗談で言ってたんじゃなかったのか。
こうなったらのりちゃん先輩も来てほしかったな。
Like any model third year, Noriko was going to study going to study and watch the meteor shower from home. Or so she said. A train pulled into the station. After a while, several people came through the gates, despite how late it was. Among them was a young woman and a tall, very well-built man.
みんなこんばんはであります。のりちゃん先輩
And Kaisuke, too!
列車でばったり会っちゃって。
本数も車両も少ないですからね。
They were heading to the same place at the same time, so it was only natural for them to be on the same train.
今日は来ないんじゃ。
みんなが楽しそうにしてるの見てたら我慢できなくて、つい。
You could see it in her face. She was still struggling with her more responsible self.
田尻先輩、こんばんはっす。うっす。元気だったか川中島。おかげさまでこの通りっす。
Kaisuke had always intended to come. He was going to work straight after high school, so he didn't need to bother with entrance exams. That's why he even helped with yesterday's parade.
懐かしい顔ぶれが揃ったわね。はい、先輩。
This was the first assembly of the revived Six Stars Club since Orihimi's graduation. Orihime smiled contentedly, but when she looked around at everyone's faces, she cocked her head in surprise.
さやさんはまだ来てないの？
At the mention of Saya's name, some Saisen Girls Astronomy Club members who'd been talking excitedly about comics with other students turned to face us.
そういえば天の川さんまだ来ていないですね。どうしたのかしら。
From her spot next to Orihime, Hanuka shot a slightly tense look at Hikari and me. Saya.
来ます。まだ来てないだけです。
うん、そうよかったわ。全員揃わないとね。せっかくの奇跡みたいな夜なのに。
Hikari stared uneasily in the direction of Saya's house. Someone's phone rang. Hanuka took her phone out from her bag.
商店会の会長さんからだ。え？はい、もしもし吉岡です。先日はお世話になりました。はい。はい。街路灯の傘が。はい、わかりました。はい。はい。それでは。
どうしたの吉岡ちゃん。
商店街の街路灯にかぶせていた傘が今朝の風雨で外れてしまっていたそうで、直したいのだけど人手がないと。
Everyone exhaled in relief. Then they'd imagined something much worse.
いいんじゃないですか、もう。街路灯の傘の一つや二つ、特に影響ないですし。
そうですよね。もうバスもないですし。
It was Sunday, so the last bus had gone long.
ひかりさん？
Toyota was right. In reality, those streetlight covers had almost no effect in reducing light pollution. Only a fraction of the streetlights had been covered, so it wasn't as if the light was being shut out. So it made sense to leave them alone for now and just help with the removal work after school tomorrow.
そうだよね。うん。それでいいよね。
I'll go.
空見くん？
何言ってんの秋に。
今から行ったんじゃ間に合わねえぞ。
そうだよ空見、そんなの放っておけば。
There must be some reason I have to go, right, Hikari?
秋と。
Everyone, please go ahead to the viewing point. I'll settle things as fast as I can and catch up. As I spoke, I got my bike ready. And I am going to stop this video here. I am, with Saya being outside here, thinking that we might be coming up on the long-awaited reuniting of our three friends here. So this makes a really good place to stop. A cliffhanger, if you will. We'll have to wait until you see the next video to see if Saya indeed meets up with Hikari and Akito tonight. So, for now, I am going to say so long, farewell. It is 2 Athamar 7 of www.nottotimcurrystudios.com, saying so long.